Kareem Bowen. That was my issue over there. Those of you who are listening, we apologize for the interference of the beginning of our shows, but we certainly thank you for tuning in week again. We are so excited. Thank you for making Straight Talk your number one show in our target audience for our listenership. We have a great show that is in store for you guys on today. Hopefully, you guys have gotten an opportunity to get out and enjoy this weather. It's absolutely amazing. I'm in the studio today, not with Matt, my main man, but we got your afternoon girlfriend, Yvonne Daniels, in the his out. What's up, Yvonne? I love it when she's in the studio. We always have a great time. Yvonne, what is going down in your world?
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, so much amazing stuff. It is the summertime.
It is the summertime.
Yeah, we got a lot of great things that are coming up in the community. Of course, you can always check out our KISS community page, kisswtlz.com, to find out about everything that's going on. So, Gospel Fest, Saginaw African Cultural Festival coming up, just a lot of great stuff. So excited.
Excited. Y'all better get out here and enjoy the summer weather. It's only like we get 3 days of it. So you got to enjoy it while it lasts. I don't know what's going on. Village, family, people, enter your family's names, your play cousins, your cousins down the street, whoever it is, let them know that Straight Talk is on. We've been having some technical difficulties as it relates to our social media platform, and we may have some today. Brother might get shut down from his computer source on today. I did not bring in my charger. So if you're listening today and you're in one of our social streaming platforms, I see a number of people coming in right now. I'm going to ask that you might want to go over to the KISS WTLZ platform on Facebook and check us out from there, or Twitter. Because we are having a great time as usual. They always tell people there are 2 shows: the one that you see on camera, or 3, the one that you hear on the radio, and then the one that's really going down behind the scenes. Well, we are at that stage and we're talking about politics. It's time for politics all over again. Yvonne, I know y'all excited about politics.
Woohoo!
You may not enjoy talking about politics, but as it relates to the things of the village, it's important for us to make sure we command attention for our civic responsibilities. And I just need a quick question. I'm going to have to throw this poll up on Straight Talk's platform. Who is it? Are we rocking with Crazy Joe? I mean, Sleepy Joe, or the crazy was supposed to be for the other man that looks like he might be the Republican front runner. We got Crazy Donald Trump, number 45. I said his name. Dang, it's been like 6-7 years. I call him number 45. Are number 45 or Sleepy Joe? What's going on? I was telling somebody the other day, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I consider myself a real independent. And I say that because I am a gun-toting, believing in gun rights. However, I believe that there should be a limitation to what we can do with guns. I believe I am pro-life. And when I say pro-life, I'm not talking about abortion. I'm talking about living for, fighting for lives from the cradle to the grave. All lives matter, including those that are incarcerated. That's what I'm talking about. And so there are a number of issues that are out there. And I was talking with someone and I was sharing with them, hey, y'all can feel how you want to. I got my haircut before I came in. I got hair all over my body. Never get a haircut and wear white or cream because it's going to show up, all right? But I was telling them, I said, y'all feeling all kind of way about Joe Biden. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at his record, he's gotten a number of things done, bills passed, agendas, tax credits, all kinds of things. Which are the types of things that we want for our president. And if the only thing that we have against him is that he's an old man, that's not real right either. Because if, President Obama, whatever, forever what it's like, that dude couldn't govern if he wanted to. Some of that because we expected a lot of him. Some of it because he thought he had to rule for America, which he does. But when you come from an underserved population, sometimes you just got to be real about it. I'm a black president. I'm going to look out for my people. And the reason it sounds crazy to hear that is because for generations and years, the other population didn't have to worry about it because they were always in charge of that resolute office. But we need to begin to think about that. I always say this. We need to begin to think about the issues that are going to impact our community. What are the main street issues that we've got to deal with? One of the issues, and I'm not going to hold this against, yes, I am. President Joe Biden, I said this at the beginning of his presidency when we were in control of both the House and the Senate, that if we did not take care of the main issue that was important to Black people, and Black people, I'm going to say it again and again and again, if we don't make our politicians do what we elect them for, hold them accountable, then we will always be given a number of promises and never receiving the fulfillment of those promises. The Voting Rights Act bill, there are two that are on the table of the Senate that have not moved anywhere. And I said, if we don't do those, as soon as we get into the office, there's going to be something that's more pressing. And we've seen that happen again and again and again. From the day that number 45 lost his presidency, every leaning red state began to take away more voting rights. They've tried to rig them. They've tried to hijack them, however they can get them. Why do you think that is? Why do you think we're talking about cases in Georgia and Michigan? Michigan is one of those states. We think that Michigan is, the North, the good old North, and things are different in Michigan, but we saw they tried to send in fake electors here in Michigan as well. Why do you think that is so important? Because there is nothing more important for an American than your ability to cast your vote at the ballot. And I don't care, even if we talk about the Electoral College, your vote is your voice, and we have to take that sincerely as we begin to move forward. I'm going to ask someone to give us a look. Something's going on our social media page because I don't see anyone on some of these platforms that I normally see. People, hey, maybe people are just taking a nap on us today. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. That number is usually a lot higher, Yvonne. You're normally not in the studio with this. She's over like, we got it! We're here! No. So we're in the studio. I'm going to get to what we're talking about. I know y'all think this dude is out of his mind. I have two beautiful ladies that are two queens in front of us on today. I made a promise to myself on last Tuesday, Yvonne, that every time we have Black women in our studio, I would refer to them as queens. And that's straight talk. The more we use that terminology, we got a lot of brothers, and we've accepted it for a long time. We calling women bees and hoes and all of that other stuff. That is not acceptable in grown folks' conversation. So, ladies, queens, I'm going to say welcome to you each and every day. And when you grace my studio, we will refer to you as a Black queen. And if you ain't a Black queen, then you're just the other. Membership has its privileges, y'all. Y'all know how we do straight talk. No chaser, no filter. I apologize for none of it. But we have in the studio with us today two Black queens that are here on a special mission. And I really want to give them an opportunity to share their story. All right, now I'm seeing my people come in. I'm not sure if we have a serious delay. Sharice Steele Phillips, you are the first in my social media stream. I certainly thank you for coming in. Kevin Jordan, Javon Long, let's share, tag this conversation. You're on the Straight Talk platform. If you're listening on the radio, shout out to all the old heads. Some folks, what I love about this, some people say, Yvonne, they get in the radio and they prefer listening to the show in the radio, on the radio. And so I thank you for all of you people who get in the car and take a drive so you can listen to the show on the radio. So we certainly thank you for listening to KISS WTLZ. If you want to hear the show and other shows in their entirety, you can always go to the website, which is kisswtlz.com. When you get on there, you're going to see this beautiful face. Click on the button and you'll be able to listen to this show and other shows in their entirety as our producers produce podcasts, and you can go back and collect that information. But I'm in the studio today with Cherie Long and Miss Shatora Carter.
Yes.
She was looking at me like, please get my name right. I ain't got nothing but my name. We are in the studio with them today, and we're going to have a very important conversation in the village. And we're always fighting for underserved communities. And usually when we have this conversation, we're talking about, Black folks or brown folks or whatever the situation may be. But today we're going to talk about another underserved community that is very dear to my heart. As a young kid growing up at Carleton High School, middle school, then high school, I met a friend, and his name was Eddie Rodriguez. Eddie Rodriguez was a special needs kid. And I didn't really know how old Eddie was, but I know that he hadn't aged out of school. And so he was someone, and he became somewhat of a mascot. He initially was being bullied by some kids, which was kids are cruel. And I was contacted by the then principal, Mr. Pauly, and he said, "Hey, Kareem, we want you to befriend this guy. We know that people like you, and just draw him into the mainstream community." And so we befriended him, and he became somewhat of our school mascot and a great friend to everyone. And it was just an amazing time, and it challenged me as a person. And I think that's one of the things that we have to do with our young people is we've got to challenge their humanity. The world is challenging their womanhood and their manhood as it's being developed, but we have to challenge their humanity by giving them opportunities to love beyond their limits. And that's what was given to me. And so I became a greeter for the Special Olympics. And I would stand at the finish line and hug folks and, let them know they were winners, even though they were like number 26. We loved them all like they were in first place. And it was an amazing experience. And it really shaped how I viewed especially abled individuals. And so these two women are here today with a special conversation. And I want you all to really lean in, get your young people around the radio or the computer or wherever you're listening to that information so that we can have that conversation. And I apologize because I know that my computer is doing strange things. So you may lose this social media feed. For the past 3 weeks, we've had issues with our social media platforms in the studio. This week is not the studio. In fact, the talent is my fault. But we're going to continue. You can listen to this on the radio. So ladies, queens, welcome to Straight Talk.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. So Sherry, let them hear your voice so that they know exactly who they're hearing.
So I'm Cherie Long.
Cherie, there you go.
Yep, from Harvest City Development Center.
Y'all hear how she got that? She said, "I am Cherie Long." Thank you for that. Cherie Long, you only got one name. And then we also have, say your name.
I'm Shatora Carter with Grateful Love Foundation.
Okay, so we have two amazing organizations. And so I'm going to talk with you first, Cherie Long, about what it is that you're doing, your organization. Tell me the name of your organization and what is your target?
So my organization is Heart of the City Development Center. I started this organization because I have a daughter with intellectual special needs. We started this organization because she started to age out of the school system. She's 26 years old. So we started to look at the transition process, where we found that in the transition process, there's not a lot of regular opportunities in the community. And by regular, I mean just hanging out, having fun, things that aren't clinically motivated, just for them to have fun and be themselves. So I began to look around, and I couldn't find anything within the Saginaw area. So what I did was I started researching nonprofits. So I started my own program. So our program has a mission to help those individuals that are aging out of the secondary school system to have a place to go and be themselves, to maintain those critical learning skills, and to just socialize. Socialization is so important just for human interaction.
Cherie, I want to ask you a question, because sometimes we take for granted that the listening audience or the people that we're listening to understand what we're talking about. But I want you to just take a second and share with them, when you say aging out, what exactly are you talking about?
So aging out in the state of Michigan, a child or a person who has a disability can go to school to age 26. And I'm glad Kareem asked that, because a lot of people don't know.
I didn't know it.
When they do back to school events, they always go K through 12. But the Michigan school system is actually K through 26. And we are somehow, not intentionally, but blocking out these individuals with disabilities.
So if we're looking, and this is why I say an underserved or really a forgotten population within our school system, most of us thought that you aged out of high school when you were 19 years old. But the reality is, here in Michigan, and this may be actually across the nation, that you don't age out until you're 26 years old.
Until you're 26 years old.
Okay, and I want you to just think about that, because how many of our schools are really serving a population that is beyond 19 years old, 19 to 26? I don't think that I've known any programs I know that there was one time something that they did. They tried to do a special needs prom. I don't know where that is, but think about it. Each an individual. If you had a child that was in school and you never heard your child's age mentioned, or once that child is over 19, they no longer have programming, you would feel some kind of way.
Right.
And so I certainly thank these queens for doing what we all need to do. When we don't see something being served in the village, what do? We build it. So I certainly thank it. And I'm going to turn our attention because somebody said Satora Carter's family is listening. Okay, Miss Priscilla Craig. We see you. That's your cousin. What's up, cuz? You know, cousin gonna make sure. Hey, listen, her family listen. Okay, so let us know what's going on with your particular foundation. You have a 15-year-old child that is Down syndrome, right?
Yes.
And give me the name, Nehemiah.
Yes.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about how Nehemiah has inspired change in your life and what you're doing, the impact that you're making in the community.
Well, I gave birth to Nehemiah at the age of 26, which is young.
Yeah.
They don't test for Down syndrome unless you're 35 and older. So, of course, no test was done. I didn't find out that Nehemiah had Down syndrome until I actually had him.
Okay.
I actually found out the next day. Even after giving birth to him, I still didn't know he had Down syndrome.
Can you please explain, because I don't want this to be about an event, or I don't want this to even be about the programs that you're doing are important,
Right.
but let's make this about your children. Let's educate the village. What is Down syndrome? Because we don't know it. We can see some of the traits. When we hear it, we know that this is an issue. But explain to the village, what is Down syndrome?
So it's a genetic condition. There is 1 in 700 children born with Down syndrome a year. So that's about 6,000 people that'll have a baby with Down syndrome in the year. We have 23 pairs of chromosomes.
Yes.
You get 1 from your mother, 1 from your father. Well, Nehemiah has an extra chromosome on his 21st.
He's
chromosome.
extra special.
Extra special.
Yes.
That's right. So he has an extra chromosome on his 21st chromosome, which gives him developmental delays.
Okay.
And the physical features too.
Okay. And some of those features that are kind of purported that are part of the process are what?
The slant eyes, which, you know, when this doctor first came in, my eyes are kind of slant, so he couldn't determine from that. They have the crease in their hand. So that's what helps them determine that also. And then they run tests.
Okay. So this how has Nehemiah, how is he differently equipped? And how did you differently equip yourself as you were raising the special needs child?
Well, first, my mother made it clear that I would not treat him any different from his sister.
Mama, get it together. I'm gonna tell you about them. Hey, old school mamas gonna make sure you. Hey, this is that we're not gonna treat him different. We're gonna treat him like the same. He's got to have the same capabilities. He's got to be able to. Yes, I love it. Go ahead, Mom.
So my mama made it clear we will not treat him any different. So because of that, that gave me strength. I enrolled him in the early on program, so that helped a lot. So that's why it's always important, like I tell everybody, like make sure you get your child help as early as possible. He did the early on program and he was able to start school at the age of 2.5.
Okay.
I wanted to mainstream him, and I don't have anything against the Millette Center, but that is not where I wanted my son to go. I wanted him to be mainstream.
Okay. Why was it? And we had this conversation with both you queens.
Mm-hmm.
Why was mainstreaming so important?
He's no different from anybody else.
Okay.
He just learns at a slower pace. That is it.
And it's not the child's fact that we as adults or professionals haven't been equipped to really understand and unlock how they understand.
That's right.
And oftentimes we put that burden, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this.
Mm-hmm.
We put that burden on the parent and say, you figure out how you're going to educate your child, instead of, you know, the system saying, we understand that this young man or this young lady has different needs in terms for us to unlock their potential. What can we do as a district? And so you hear them using the term mainstreaming. That's simply what it says. They didn't want them to go to a school that was full of folks with, you know, disabilities and incapabilities, but they wanted to put them in a mainstream school where they were, as mom said, they were going to be treated like everyone else.
That's right.
Same expectation, same targets for graduation, but a different pathway to what we would call success.
That's right.
Okay, so out of that, you were seeing some things not happening. And so what was the name of the platform that you created to scream and to speak out for young people who are disabled?
For me, there were no support groups here. I was looking for a parent support group. So I decided to have my first Down syndrome walk. From then, I decided to create the Grateful Love Foundation. And our mission is to empower, educate, and advocate youth with intellectual and developmental disabilities, birth through 18, and their families.
All right. So as we begin to build this community, I'm curious, because you all came to my doorstep as a package deal.
That's right.
They can, brother don't stand a chance. Okay, it's rough out here having to deal with one queen. Brother came here, they double knock. I'm like, oh man, I'm in trouble. Let me shut up and listen. But I said that because I really mean this in such a powerful way. I love when we in the village, we find someone that's doing something that we do, and we partner and we team up together. I believe that collaboration inspires innovation and brings out the best in everything that we do. I want to give a shout out to our state representative, Amos O'Neill, because he was the one. He said, hey, you guys need to get together, share this conversation with the village, and talk about what's important. And I want to thank him for that, but I want to thank you all for educating, equipping, empowering our community to really bring into the fold population of not just young people, but adults who are being not just underserved, but overlooked. So we want them to be seen. We want them to be heard. And if your voices are the ones that will bring their issues to the table, I certainly want to thank you. Javon Long says, we get further together than apart. Great job, ladies. Great job. Great topic, Kevin Jordan. Yes, so we want you guys to lean in. How can we begin to lean in? What are some of the key ways? And I'll allow you, Cherie. I want to make sure I had to put a little act like Cherie. Call me Sherry. I'm Cherie. How can we, Cherie, really begin to lean in for these communities, these populations that don't have a voice?
I feel that the first thing, like you said, we need to collaborate. We need to actually come together with some of these, I'm going to say, more powerful businesses, educators, doctors, and we need to collaborate and come up with and support programs that are like ours that are bringing to the community. We have programs every month that support families, that support these individuals, but we need to collaborate.
Oh, hold on one second, because I need y'all to understand, when they don't have the support that's necessary. My sister just said we have programs every month. Some of y'all do, hey, I'm a promoter. Hey, and you do 2 events a year. I saw somebody promote, and they were big events. They were like, yeah, last year we did this, and this year we're doing this. Gospel Fest happens once a year. You got to think about these things that happen once a year. But when your children are being overlooked and they're not creating things, they're not in the mainstream, you got to keep them busy, and you got to keep them informed. You got to keep them involved. You got to keep, not only are you having to encourage your children, but you're trying to bring the community along so that they can be inspired to walk this walk as well. These sisters are doing programs every single month. Now, I don't have an applause button. Yvonne, I'm asking. Could you put that? Could you write down as well that we need to get an applause button so we can hit that and get some applause? Okay, so that's going to be in the future. But I want to applaud you on such an amazing effort. Cherie Steele Phillips, she must know. I know Cherie, she says, I love to see how Nehemiah and others live blessed, long, full, productive lives. And at the end of the day, that is what this is all about. All right. So how can they continue? You were talking about how they can lean in. One of the programs that you guys do every month.
So, one of our up and coming programs is a back to school event. We're having a back to school event. This event is, it combines both of our programs, of course. So we go from K to age 26. We're giving away 200 book bags. Of course, we're still looking for supporters, donations, but we are having those programs because, like you said, a lot of them tend to not intentionally forget about those kids that are 26. We also have these programs programs to promote inclusion. Inclusion, bringing those individuals from regular mainstream society in with people with disabilities so they learn, one, how to interact with them, and so those people with disabilities also learn positive communication, because I think we tend to forget that they are just normal people.
That's right.
But some reason when you put a special needs tag or intellectual developmental delay, everything changes. They feel like we should be separated. And I feel like the community also, no offense to anybody,
No, be
does
real.
a bad job
Yes.
of separating everybody. Everybody talks about together. We're as one. Let's build the community. You cannot build a community without everybody.
Right.
We need to stand as one, as a whole. And if we don't have those people with disability, we are not whole in the city of Saginaw.
Yeah, I wish y'all heard it, but I wish y'all could seen the head roll and the eyes roll. We are not rolling in the city of Saginaw. I know that's right. All right, so what was that? All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. You know what? I'm having this conversation. It is always built in that at 6:30, I take a commercial break just to give a pause, but I've been enjoying this conversation. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. And as I said to you all, if you lose me on the Straight Talk platform, please go to Kiss WTLZ on the Facebook platform or on Twitter so that you can continue this conversation. But if you lose us here, go to kisswtlz.com, push the play button as soon as you get to the home screen, and you can listen on your phone or your computer and get the same content that you're hearing here. Thank you, Kevin Jordan. United we stand, divided we fall. Divided we fall. We want you to stay, don't go away. We'll be back with more of Straight Talk. This is Kareem with Straight Talk. You're back with great conversation. We're talking about young people who are differently able, two queens in the studio who are running down and educated and empowering the village. I want to give a shout out to Chucky Lawrence. I want you guys to remember coming up, I think it's August 19th, is the citywide kickball. This is almost gone. We're mid-Michigan statewide, this kickball tournament. We talk about violence. And one of the things that I always say is that stopping gun violence isn't just about the violence, but it's about changing the narrative. And one way we change the narrative, bringing the community together for something positive. So Chucky Lawrence, Black Bruce, all of y'all that's out there, we certainly want to thank y'all. Hey, y'all laughing, but everybody in the city know who Black Bruce is. Amen. So that is definitely going to be some game and a party with a purpose. More information. We'll get Chucky in here to share that information and how you guys can support bringing unity and peace into our community. We're Black with Cherie Long and Shatora Carter. I saw how it was spelled in the stream, so that helps me pronounce it. I was like, y'all know we got some names. We can just come put some consonants, a letter, add a T and an A at the end. There you go. But we were talking about leaning in for these young people, and we know that there are two great, the Heart of the City and Grateful Love are two platforms, community organizations, foundational places where people can get involved, and you guys are doing events every single month. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but I really want to talk about who Nehemiah and Lexi are as young individuals. I'm giving y'all the warning. My computer said that my juice is declining. So find your way to one of those other streaming platforms. I would recommend going to kisswtlz.com. You can just do that very easily. Push play once you get to that home screen and continue this conversation. Now, don't say, hey, what's happening? And sending me text messages on my phone. It's not going to be answered. All right. But let's talk about those two young individuals. Lexi is the name of your daughter.
Yes.
All right. So let me know. So when you heard, how did you first find out that Lexi was going to have it? Is this something that you found prenatal? How did this come about?
No, like Shatora, I didn't find out till after Lexi was born. And I actually found out closer to the age of 1. I would take her to the doctor and I asked about milestones. She wasn't reaching milestones. She wasn't holding her bottle. And from the doctor, I heard, don't hold her, you're just making her lazy. And I feel that
the doctor said that?
Yeah, the doctor said
okay.
that. So I switched doctors. So switching doctors, I began to question her milestones. And we went down to doctors in Farmington Hill, which found out she had kind of a space missing. Because of lack of oxygen at birth, and them not taking her right away, it causes an empty space about the size of a $50. As she's grown, it has closed, but it's called a major delay in her learning. Hearing that my daughter had a disability, like Shatora, I cried, but I also have the same motherly family love that Shatora has, which makes us connect.
Okay, I don't want to jump over that, because when we're having babies and we're having kids, we're praying for 10 fingers and toes.
That's
and
right.
yes. We're buying, this is what's so funny, we're buying clothes and bassinets and dresses. Oh, she's gonna look so cute and he's gonna look so handsome in this, and we do all of these things because we want perfect children. And not that your children are not perfect, because they are perfectly created the way that God has designed them, right? So when you heard the word disability, Lexi says, hi, mama, and thank you for everything. You better go ahead, Lexi. Lexi is a superstar. Baby, I'm a star. Go ahead, Lexi. We certainly want to thank you. And before I lose you, I want to say this comment, because I want to stay right where we are with this. My daughter, Carolyn, this is Jackie Wade Day. She's down in Lansing. Ladies, we need to make sure that you connect with her. This is Christine Johnson, Magic Johnson's mom's best friend, and they used to do a lot of work together. She says my daughter Carolyn is 58 years old and is microcephalic, small head, the opposite of hydrocephalic. Educate us, Miss Day. She was evaluated to function from 3 to 5 years old. She has always been included in everything I have been involved in. I really appreciate these ladies. Mama Day, I love me some Carolyn. And if y'all don't love Carolyn, I'm going to tell you who else loves Carolyn. Carolyn gets the most amazing gifts from Shaquille O'Neal for her birthday. He remembers her. She remembers everyone. I have known Carolyn, since about 2000. And she is bright. She always wants to have a conversation. She makes me feel special. And I like to return that love and will. So Carolyn, I know if Miss Day is listening, you are listening as well. I want to say, hey, Queen, I love you. And I appreciate everything that you are and everything that you represent. Also, Miss Day says, I've had the same experience with in recognizing that my child was not functioning properly for her age, and recognized there was a disability. All right. So let's get back to how did this impact you? You don't have a perfect birth. You're not according to what we hoped. How did this impact you as a mom?
As a mom, I cried. I cried and I cried. And I was kind of embarrassed, as is I think a lot of people are, which is why they're not coming out, standing up as a community. I was embarrassed, but like I said, my mom told me, we got this, and we're gonna raise her, and she's gonna be just like everybody else. But I still cried. I cried because, as you said, I dreamed my little girl's gonna do this. She's gonna grow up. She's gonna get married. She's gonna go to college. Unfortunately, my daughter will always live with me. But it is a blessing to me because she has taught me so much. But she has paved the way for me to be able to advocate for other people.
Go ahead. It's okay. This is a real conversation. Go ahead.
But it still makes me feel like she was, because the doctors didn't pay attention to certain things. I think they could have caught certain things earlier. But because I was a young mom on Medicaid, I didn't have a high price insurance, and I didn't fit into their stereotype. I think a lot of things were lack of medical care, lack of medical attention on my daughter's basis. But we still gonna get through because God gonna bring us through. But I feel like a lot of it is due to lack of education and them ignoring the Black community when they say something is wrong.
I want to tell you all that I was trained in racial bias and implicit bias. And what I learned in that training is that healthcare is the number one area in which we find disparities in treatment based upon race. And so I certainly thank you all for being microphones, being on the PA for voices that people don't hear. All right, let's talk about Nehemiah, because I'm learning some stuff about Nehemiah. I need to get in one of Nehemiah's master classes over here. So tell me a little bit about Nehemiah. During the break, Yvonne, okay, let me see that really quick. All right, so for those of you here, this is what I love about my people. My people, they show love and they mean exactly what they're talking about. You can see, there we go. You can kind of get the picture for those of you on social media. So I've seen Nehemiah before.
Have you?
Yes. Nehemiah is making moves. One of the best smiles. So we are sitting here, Jeffrey Bulls, and I'm trying to get this content. Once again, those of you listening, now you guys are populating the social media stream. We may fall off here on the Straight Talk site, but please go to kisswtlz.com and listen, or go to Kiss 107.1 FM on Facebook to continue this conversation, because we're going to run out of power eventually. It's going to happen. All right, so I want to turn over here to Shatora. Shatora, let's talk a little bit Nehemiah. During the break, Yvonne Daniel, who's the content director, what is your actual title here? She's an afternoon girlfriend, but okay. She is the queen of KissWTLZ.com. And she's in the studio today. She was like, wait a minute, is your son, was he at the Crown event? And so I found out that Nehemiah is an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
All right. So okay. So what is Nehemiah doing as it relates to business? And then we'll talk about how he's changed your life and changed who you are. Not only for the challenges, but also the better, because I think when you have a child with special needs, they make you tap into your superpower, that divine love that doesn't flow until it's challenged to flow. All right, but talk a little bit about Nehemiah and the entrepreneur.
All right. So Nehemiah is 15. I was juicing when I was commuting back and forth to work when I used to be a rehab counselor. So I was juicing. Nehemiah was helping me in the kitchen, and he enjoyed juicing. When he got to high school, I didn't realize, and I don't know how I forgot, but high school students with special needs, they're a part of their IEPs. So
you can't do that to us, because and this is why I say that, because we go to hospitals and people talk over our head. We go to schools and they use them PhDs and them all that other stuff. We want to make sure that when we have conversations with the village, we bring them into this conversation, because the more you equip us with the information, we can then move and be mobilized. Jeffrey Bull said racism in healthcare is jaw-dropping. I recommend a book called Medical Apartheid, will blow your mind. That's Jeff Bulls, the CEO and founder of CAP. But you were going ahead. Now you talking about IUDs and EUIs.
This is his educational plan.
Okay.
So that he has goals.
Okay.
That he has to Yeah.
Me.
So
I'm messing her up here. She can't
Right.
put her. She can't put her. I'm
Yeah.
seeing her like this dude is crazy. But go ahead. I'm listening.
So I walk into the IEP meeting and Nehemiah is sitting there. So the same list of questions that I received by email, they asked him in person. So one of the questions they asked him, what would he like to do for a career?
Okay.
And he told his teacher he wanted to have a juicing business.
Wow.
So of course his mama got
Inspired by mama. All right. Black women, black queens. But I'm gonna tell you, with young black men, you know, it takes a man to make a man. But I'm gonna tell you, you put that cape on your back when mama start influencing you. But go ahead.
So of course I had to make it happen. I have to shout out Sierra Warren.
Sierra Warren, shout out to you.
She was a big help.
Let's talk about who's Sierra Warren. Let's give her a shout out. Let's push her business.
All right. Sierra Warren has the bakery, Delicious Sweets.
Delicious Sweets.
But Sierra was also juicing.
Okay. She does compressed juice. You're right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I reached out to her, told her that Nehemiah wanted to learn how to juice the right way. Because if you're selling something, you have to do things the right way.
Absolutely.
You have to give people paying their money. So you have to.
That was a public service announcement for the village. Black people. If you're going to start a business, do it right or don't do it at all. This has been brought to you by the Queens of the Village. Go ahead.
So I reached out to Sierra and she actually told me which juicer to get him in the future, which fruits to mix to make certain juices for him. So she helped us big time.
Okay.
I ordered the bottles. Made the stickers and stuff because I craft, and I put it on Facebook, and the love that was shown was just amazing. Like literally I had people showing up to my house from the time I got off of work to like 8:00 in the evening, supporting my son and buying juices.
All right, tell me about this juice. Where can we get this juice? This Nehemiah juice. I'm gonna preach to y'all for a second, because one of the things that I do that I've been called to do is preach. And Nehemiah now has a juice, y'all. And if you know anything about Nehemiah, what'd you say, Yvonne?
It is good. I was like, this juice is good. Start to come back up and get another bottle. It's really good too.
But Nehemiah was responsible for rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. And so he did the hard work. He encouraged the people, motivated the people to work. You are helping us to rebuild the walls of the village. And if our specially abled youth and family members are not a part of that village, then we're missing out. So Nehemiah is now doing his part. Yes. He is building juice. Where can we get this Nehemiah juice? You live longer, hair will grow, nails. Y'all make sure y'all listen to what Yvonne Daniel says about this show not being the word. No, but go ahead. Tell us about where can we get this.
He has a business page on Facebook. It's called Juicing with a Smile, because everybody knows Nehemiah for a smile. Mm-hmm. So it's called Juicing with a Smile. He does take pre-orders, and he has been involved in a lot of vendor events around Saginaw and Flint.
All right. So that is Nehemiah, the entrepreneur. So we got to get back and we got to talk about Nehemiah coming into the world. You talked about how mom said we're not going to treat him differently, but how has Nehemiah impacted and changed your life?
Ooh, he made me tap into some strength I didn't know I had. Being 26 and having a child with a disability, you look at your friends, you compare yourself to your friends when it comes to that.
In what way?
I'm 26. I have a son with a disability. My friends don't have a child with a disability. There's a lot more stuff that I had to do for my son. Therapy he did early on. So he had the occupational therapy, speech therapy. It took my son longer to learn how to walk. It took him longer to potty train. And you're watching all your friends that have kids, and they're, kids are just potty training fast, walking early. He had a lot more challenges.
I want to ask you guys this question, because you said something that I don't think about. And I think that most parents don't think about. When you see your child in comparison or in reflection, let's say reflection, not comparison. When you see your child in reflection to other kids, you go to the playground, you go to a birthday party, how are you challenged in your emotions, your thoughts, when you have those kinds of experiences? No one may have ever asked you, but I would imagine that would be something that happens when you raise a special needs child.
Yeah, you worry all the time.
You worry all the time. One, like my daughter, Nehemiah talks a little better, and he's a little more higher functioning than my daughter. I worry because my daughter wouldn't be able to tell you if somebody did something to her. She wouldn't be able to say if she needed to even go to the bathroom. You know, to this day, I have to do the stranger danger thing because nobody's a stranger. She loves everybody, but she doesn't understand, you know, the dangers that we know every day. So it's a scary world, especially when other parents don't understand. You know, usually you say the village helps raise everybody, but sometimes the village is just as biased as, you know, the world.
I want to jump in there because I want to be as what I would consider a voice in the village. I want to say this to those of us who are listening. I've been there. I told you, working with you all kinds of kids from all kinds of spectrums of different abilities. And what I recognized from my younger friends because I was in school at the time, and I saw going through with other parents, I saw parents pulling kids closer when kids with special needs were around. The village, we've got to do better because sometimes, and we talked about this when we were in a break, but I want to say this: we act like we're going to be infected because they got special needs. Oh my goodness. And we get afraid. And I don't know if the fear is based upon we don't know how to communicate. We're afraid. But what I will say is that if you don't begin to start somewhere and find someone who's special need or a parent and see how you can connect, we'll never be able to really make a change. Change happens when people are dissatisfied with what they see. They're fed up with what the status quo is, and they begin to do something different. Let's be the change that we need to see, because as Black folks, we've been marching and protesting and singing, "We shall overcome." If anyone understands what it means to be overlooked, we should understand that, and we should not allow our children, regardless of how they're function or equipped to function, to ever have those feelings of not feeling like they're a part of what's going on. Okay. Were you going to say something?
Yes, I just want to say, because I know she touched on the Birth to 3 program. I think the educators, we have programs and we reach out to educators. It starts with the education. Of course, it starts core with the home.
Absolutely.
But our educators need to go back, I'm going to say, to the old school way, where like in the township, they have those mentors where the peers are going into class helping them. And a lot of other schools don't offer that peer support.
A lot of us schools.
The city schools.
Came out just a little bit.
I'm messing with you.
But a lot of the city schools don't have that peer support. And I think it's important, like you said, to teach our young people, because like myself and her, I also had my first person, Kathy McNally, start way back when in 98 for the Birth to 3 program, who taught me how to advocate and how to navigate the system. Without her, I would not have knew about the educational program. And we still need those programs to be funded. We need collaborations with those programs to teach underserved communities as well as other communities how to advocate and how to navigate through these systems, because they are hard. You cannot just go to and get a pamphlet. You have to literally dig for this information in the city of Saginaw, and it's not right.
Well, I mean, I think that anyone would say, having a kid in any city school across the country, we're having issues with getting certified teachers because you're not getting paid what they're getting paid in other districts. You understand?
Yes.
And so if you have a special needs, they're not overlooked once, but they're triply overlooked. And so we really have to lean in. We've got to have forums and opportunities to have these conversations so that we can really build what we don't see.
And they have to show up.
No, there you go. Show up.
And I just had a conversation with the lieutenant governor.
Okay.
And I also told him, because yes, they do promote nursing, and I get it. But what about the educators? What about the social workers? We need these people in place to advocate, to come into the communities, to lift up everyone, not just one side of the spectrum, but everyone, full circle. All systems need to be activated in order for the court work.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So let's talk a little bit about how we can get involved. And we lost you. I told y'all we was going to lose you on that social media strap. But those of you who have made the transition, we certainly want to thank you for staying tuned. So tell me, Shatora, how can we lean in for youth who are having to function in a system that really isn't seeing them?
For one, showing up to the activities. We're having these activities monthly, all inclusive activities. They're free.
Free, y'all. Right.
And we're not having that many people show up to the events. I mean,
so what types of activities are we talking about? Give us some.
So we have the back to school
event
that's coming up.
Where's that going to be?
That will be in Frankenmuth. It is going to be at the Fisher Hall.
Okay.
It is a back to school rodeo themed event, and we're giving away 200 book bags. It is sponsored by I Heart Mac and Cheese.
Okay.
Freight, Laura Jones.
Oh yeah, yeah.
As well as Molina Healthcare and a bunch of others. But we do have people that come out. We usually have 60 people that come out.
Okay.
But we got a lot of school districts and a lot of families out here that need support, and we pass the information along as much as we can. But yeah, we need the support. Come out, support, volunteer. You don't have to just come out and give. Sometimes volunteering is also giving. It's not all about money all the time. We need money to operate, but we also want you to come out and just enjoy yourself as a family.
And so when we look at that, you talk about volunteer. What types of opportunities do we have for volunteer? Because some people are like, oh, I don't know, what will I be doing? Give them an understanding of what kind of volunteer.
I'll say this. You have a lot of autistic kids that come to events, and some parents, from what I've seen, don't like bringing their kids to the events because they're ashamed, for one, because of the behaviors that their kids display when they're out in public. But that's what the volunteers are for.
Wow.
We're there to help them. There's nothing, you don't have to be ashamed. We're there to help you.
I have a cousin, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Truth. Young man, I think Truth is probably about 6 or 7. He is autistic and super smart. But he has this thing. He runs. That's his thing. He runs. You set Truce down, and Truce is off to the races. You think he Carl Lewis, you know? And so we were together for the 4th of July, and his grandma brought him, and so they were kind of like, you know, I don't want to leave because if I turn my eyes, Truce is gone. I'm like, wait a minute, he's here with the family. We can lock the gate. When we have kids, they're with us that are family kids. This is our child.
That's right.
And so we have to take responsibility. And I say this for folks who are seeing parents having to struggle. Don't be rolling your eyes and looking crazy, because you don't understand the challenge that it took for that mother to be brave enough, to be bold enough to say, you know what, I'm not going to, we going together and we're going to learn together on how we can get through this situation. I think that's a very important piece. But do you think, how systemic do you think the issue of embarrassment or just, you know, staying home because they don't, you know, they're afraid of those things? How big is that issue?
It's very big, especially in our community. Unfortunately, we see more people of color who are embarrassed by taking their kids out, but it's also lack of opportunities, lack of education.
Wow. All right. So give us your information on your platforms, because we're winding down with these last couple of minutes. Share with us how people can get involved with your organization and get on board.
To reach, I'm Cherie Long, Heart of the City Development Center. You can go on Facebook.
Cherie Long, Heart of the City Development Center. Okay, go ahead.
You can reach our organization by logging on to www.heartofthecity989.com. You can go on there, volunteer. You can also place donations. You can also go on Facebook page to keep up with our monthly events and come out and volunteer.
All right. And
my name is Shatora Carter again. I'm with the Grateful Love Foundation. I have a Facebook page, Grateful Love Foundation. I can also be contacted on my website at www.grateful-love.com. And I also have an Instagram page, Grateful Love too.
All right. So other than money, what is the greatest need that you all need for support in your prospective areas?
Well, right now we need support. We're with Amos, we're looking for a building. We're looking for some of these big corporations that have buildings sitting around to donate a building. In the city of Saginaw, beyond age 26, there's not a facility built so these individuals can go to school Monday through Friday. So we are trying to get a building to have these support educational systems that keep those critical learning skills.
Okay, this is absolutely amazing. I want to say, ladies, I certainly want to hope you straighten out your crowns on today, because you have done your children and all children and across the nation who suffer with being overlooked because they have special needs. I want to say thank you for all of those parents out there that you guys are the voice for, the ones crying in the wilderness. And I wish you well with your endeavors. And I also want to know, as Yvonne Daniels asked, how can we get involved to better spread the word? I would love to come in to volunteer. And then also you guys are having some needs as it relates to corporations, understanding and seeing and valuing what you're doing. Let's make connections so that we can make that happen. State Rep O'Neill, you need to tell them people down there with them purse strings. I mean, because I know he's the man that's getting it done. Sitting on the Appropriations Committee. This is such a wonderful opportunity for the city of Saginaw. But you got to get your ducks in a row. You got to come up with your business plan. You got to speak that language, make it happen.
Right.
You ladies are trailblazers. And I think that our community is going to be changed forever because of what you're doing today. Continue to empower, continue to equip, continue to let the village know what's going on with our special babies. Okay. Those of you who are listening, we certainly want to thank you for your time and attention. It is always a pleasure to come back with you all week after week, sharing what's happening in the village, giving it to you straight, no chaser, no filler. Thank you for tuning in to Straight Talk. And as always, take care of yourselves and each other. God bless you all. Grace and peace.